I mean, probably not right now. Maybe later.
Jesus.
Is it worse because you contributed to... Like, I didn't have anything. I was going to be quiet. Anyway.
Good evening. It is March 21st, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. Tonight is our 100th episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
can you believe
You guys,
it?
not me.
No,
No.
actually, that's
25
excellent.
I mean, we started this back in
Yeah.
October-ish of last year, and we're already at our 100th episode. So
Wow.
that's pretty
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Time flies faster when you give us money, the internet.
Yay us. So don't forget to go to our Patreon in celebration of our 100th episode, signing up, giving us $1 or $6 or $15, whatever your choice.
I do solemnly swear, the internet, if you make me an oligarch, I will hunt down and kill other oligarchs for sport. Literally. Dead-ass oligarch. In international waters or whatever. There's a loophole.
Anyway, so, let me see. So, what makes our show different from other millennial news podcasts?
That I can't keep my mouth shut, so you can get your 10 seconds of background silence to make sure that the thing goes away when it's bad.
That certainly is special. One more thing. One more
That
try.
I have a cat that lives a lot of its life inside of a couch, and sometimes when he comes out of it, it looks like he's being born, and it's weird. It's like that scene out of Aliens.
And I
That-
thought I
that is
was
a very
important and was
descriptive
treasured.
Example of a Xerxes, yes. Okay.
Like an old
so
shoe, like a good one, like a good shoe.
we have a boomer, and not just any boomer. We have
An
Mr.
actual
Boomer
boomer.
Rex
A fucking
himself.
self-aware one who isn't so busy trying to vomit out Americana and American mythology as though that were some answer in the face of people on the ground telling you shit's
Oh,
different.
I will vomit out Americana, but I understand we're in a different place now.
Now,
Yeah.
you two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and I'm learning. So that's 3 unique perspectives, along with the facts that we share with our listeners from our literal round table.
What'd you learn about today, Risen?
What didn't I learn about?
So angry she was vibrating.
Okay, so as I have already informed those who have privy to our pregame show, which
She
is another
threw
reason.
things at the TV.
I did. No, I did. Everything I found that I knew wasn't going to break the TV got thrown at the
I
fucking
was very
TV.
impressed. That was like, we should probably get you a throwing sponge.
Actually.
Well, there's still a TV.
No, she's freakishly good at it. Like, I don't understand it. Like,
No.
when I lash out at things, it's not even vaguely that thought out.
He would watch me. Stop. Put something else I had in my hand down.
Like the remote,
Pick up
usually.
something different and throw it at the damn
Some
TV.
pea-sized, like, I think she threw a hair tie at one point.
I did. I threw a hair tie. You know those plastic rings on
Yep.
the top of your Coke bottle?
Yeah, those are
I
good.
threw that.
Okay.
And then I threw an empty bottle, but I threw it at the ground in front of the TV, specifically aimed. Actually, I think I threw it up the
You did.
staircase.
Wherever you
Anyway.
threw it, it was not going to pool ball back into the TV.
And if you're asking yourself, Risen, what could possibly have gotten you so worked up that you threw
Our
things at
bastion
the
of calmness
TV?
and sunshine.
Well, let me tell you.
Gentle rain.
I've been doing research on false confessions.
Oh, so gross.
And we spoke on Friday about Melissa Lucio, okay?
Yep.
And we discussed what her issue is and everything, and the fact that she didn't even really make a false confession so much as they twisted her confession about possibly spanking her child
They only need parts.
and turned it into what
Yeah.
they wanted it to
Yeah.
be. So, great, that's bad. But false confessions, where the person goes all the way and says no and describes in detail and blah, blah, blah. What causes people to do this?
The Wicklander and Reed method.
What discusses, what can we talk about? So, tonight we're putting aside the news to continue our deep dive on false confessions, okay? As promised, I spent the weekend researching this real issue that our justice system suffers from. Very real issue. And again, I have another example tonight, and this will show you that everybody is subject to this happening. Absolutely everybody.
Well, and for the worst of good isn't a thing I can say. I know an FBI agent who's admitted to planting things on people. And his defense was, fuck them, they're guilty for something. And I think that's the justification used all too often. to cut a corner, to tell a tech what you need, what your case needs. Right, I don't think it's very often that there's a smoky back room and a decision made.
No, I agree.
No. So let's discuss. Okay, what types of first of all, what is a false confession? Second of all, how do you quantify these? Right. So there are three main types of what are called false confessions. One is the persuaded confession, where police may use okay, so I'm getting this particular list from woodywhitelaw.com. Now, this is a standard list that I found in a lot of other websites, but for tonight's purpose, this is the easiest one for me to find, to pull up, to share.
Okay.
But they all say basically the same thing, and I watched a ton of TED Talks and did a bunch of research. They were very interesting.
Yeah, not saying I didn't expect them. It's TED Talk. I lived there.
No, and that's part of the reason why I did it, because TED Talks are known for their factuality and are known for being very well thought out. So again, these are very regular definitions. These don't really vary from place to place, except for maybe the explanation, how it's worded. But anyway, so persuaded false confessions. Police may use interrogation tactics that cause an individual to doubt his or her own memory, and may lead him or her to believe that he or she did commit the crime, even when he or she did not.
Now that self-protective amnesia, that brilliant turn of phrase.
This typically happens in three different steps. One, the suspect is made to doubt his or her own innocence by the interrogator with a lengthy, intense accusation or interrogation. Interrogators supply the accused with a reason why he or she may have committed the crime and how it could have been done without him or her remembering it. Suggestions may be made that the person was dealing with multiple personalities, a blackout, post-traumatic stress disorder, or a repressed memory. And the third one is after the subject has admitted guilt in the crime, because there is no logical way he or she didn't do it, he or she may make up facts that support the committing of the crime, because he or she truly believes he or she must have done it, as there is no other logical explanation.
Our desire to cooperate is nearly immeasurable.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things. So number two, compliant confessions. So this is what you were just talking about. If police use stress, pressure, or coercion, and suspects desperately want to escape from a painful interrogation process, they may confess whether they are guilty or not. The subjects may also believe that they will be released if they confess to the crime, or avoid a harsher punishment if they just admit guilt. In most cases, confessors usually recant these confessions quickly after the interrogation
People
ends.
think police are involved with what you get charged with. They aren't.
Well,
Right.
it's like we were discussing on Friday,
They can't even make a deal
And
with
that-
you.
where
Just
people
tell
believe,
us what happened. We'll get you out of here.
Yep.
That's a perfectly standard.
and
I have
people,
heard police officers
yeah.
say that.
and people believe that oh, thank God they found blood, that's not going to connect it to me at all. So if I tell them this thing now to make this stop, then later on I'll be exonerated. It's fine, they'll know I didn't do
Yeah.
it because I couldn't have
Because
possibly
there'll be
done
proof.
it.
Because they'll
Exactly.
investigate.
All they want or need is a story. They need to get that red name turned black fast.
And the third type are voluntary false confessions.
Loonies.
These confessions most often happen when the suspect has an underlying mental or psychological condition that distorts reality. The individual may want fame or notoriety, want absolution from guilt over imagined acts, have a desperate need for self-punishment,
Bingo.
or have the inability to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Law enforcement officers are usually distrustful of voluntary confessions.
So maybe that's the other thing, right? If you can't get the cops to leave you the fuck alone, just start confessing to all kinds of shit. The Lindbergh baby. And don't. They're gonna be annoyed and then you're fucked.
Right.
Really, the only answer is don't talk to cops.
No, the only thing you can do is use your Miranda rights. That's what they're there for. That's the only thing that can save you from this. Ask
Yeah,
for a
you're
lawyer
right to shut the fuck up.
and don't talk.
You're not helping them.
When they
you're
start
not-
talking at you, don't.
Lawyer. Don't answer,
open
just
your
repeat.
mouth.
I want my lawyer.
It's your mantra. That's your lawyer dance. I want my lawyer.
I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer.
That's what you do. That's all you do. You do nothing else. You say nothing else.
Don't talk to them.
And I taught this to my son when he was 14.
No, they're not. And it's not even their fault. That's the worst part about this, right? Is that when we fuck this up, it's very rare, so very rarely with malice. Right? Because again, we've seen what happens when cops want to do something malicious. They open the fuck fire on the car you and your 6-year-old son are in.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's not the fucking problem here.
Yeah.
This is when they think they know who's guilty or they don't. And
They have to pin it on
But
somebody.
they have been taught a technique, which is justifiably famous for producing
confessions.
confessions.
Right, because they're taught to interrogate. They're
False
not taught to
confessions.
question.
Yep.
Which is two different
They're
things.
not taught to investigate.
Right.
This is what the war on drugs has done. Because against drugs, this works. Because you know they're fucking guilty. You caught, right? There's 4 youths on a corner, wherever, right? You can spot the lookout in the other. That's not fine. But, like, you can understand how this became the method. Right? Again, cops switched from 6 shooters after the 84 shootout in Miami. And that was against Ruger Mini 14s. That wasn't even real assault weapons.
All right. So, I promised you numbers. Okay? I have all the numbers.
I probably wouldn't have said all the numbers.
Well,
Yeah.
the ones that
We'll find out.
So, let's see. State execution rates.
Oh, that's right,
through
you do have these numbers.
2020.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, this was gross.
Per capita state execution ranks. The only place that outranks Texas as far as per capita
Is Florida?
executions. No.
You're gonna kick
Guess
yourself.
again.
No.
You'll figure it out.
Oklahoma.
Right.
They killed
The most conservative state in the union.
They killed 2.83 people per 100,000 residents.
About half the national murder rate.
Wow.
Their cumulative executions from 1976 through September 1st of 2020 is 112. Now, Texas is number 2 on the per capita list, with cumulative executions from 1976 to September 1st, 2020 of 570.
Yeah, but Texas is bigger.
But with executions per 100,000 residents at 1.97. So
Okay.
just
Give them a bit.
Come
they'll
on,
catch up.
Texas, you can catch up.
And they want to, too.
number 3rd on the list is Delaware
Delaware.
with 1.64 per 100,000 residents,
Fuck
which
me.
isn't that much lower than Texas. But cumulatively from 1976 to September 1st, 2020, Delaware has only killed 16 people.
That's because
It's
Delaware is tiny.
significantly smaller, right?
It's 160 people total.
But that's
in Delaware.
why
The only thing that matters is people per 100,000.
exactly. Still interesting.
Yeah.
Then you have Missouri, Alabama, Virginia, Arkansas, South Carolina,
kind of the
Georgia,
last places I want to go to court.
Mississippi, Louisiana, South Dakota makes the list, killing almost a half a person per, or a little over a half a person per 100,000.
Just giving you
Arizona,
a stroke.
Arizona is killing 0.51 per 100,000,
Okay.
so about half a
Not
person.
since they couldn't get drugs from that driving school in England. That
So
one time.
we haven't come to Florida yet, which I find
Florida is
shocking.
number 15 on the list, under Ohio. And they have killed 99, and for executions per 100,000 residents, 0.46.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So it's a thriving business.
Oh my God.
They're all fucked up though. They can't get the sodium pentothal anymore.
Yeah.
Again, Arizona
doesn't
tried to
seem
buy
to
some
keep
from a
them-
fucking driving school in England. Which, first off, I want to go to driving school in England. No, fuck off. They
Clearly.
didn't. There weren't cool drugs at my driving school.
No.
All right. So you guys want some crazy statistic
No,
here,
I want
don't
to
you?
run away and forget all of this. This is horrible. It's like staring into the time schism and seeing the time knife.
So the highcourt.co
Okay.
has a bunch of very interesting numbers. So 33 startling wrongful conviction statistics, which was last updated 2021.
Okay.
Depressing wrong conviction stats editor's pick. So these are his top. Between 2 and 10% of convicted individuals in the U.S. prisons are innocent. 2 to 10%. 2,666 people have been exonerated in the U.S. since 1989.
Split the difference. Call it 6%, and that's still a staggering number of
Yes.
confessions that police, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, couldn't tell they had fucked up.
Or they weren't based on confessions, but yeah.
Out of 100 sentenced to death,
That's true. This is the
4
problem.
are likely innocent, but only 2 get exonerated. Proven innocent people have served more than 23,950 years in prison so far. Yes. False confessions account for 29% of wrongful convictions. I have seen these numbers go as high as up to, so with the Innocence Project, they're over 50% of the people they have freed are false confessions.
And we're building a body of work on false confessions, so if you can get that and an appealable error.
Official misconduct plays a part in 31% of murder exonerations. So that's a third of all
That's
people.
probably the most disturbing number.
Yeah.
False accusations are present in 70% of wrongful convictions.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are just taking it out on people and using the system to do it. Then it's so much more horrible.
So just to give a better number on that 2 and 10% approximation, there are over 2.3 million incarcerated individuals in the United States. We can see that the number of innocent people behind bars is anywhere from 46,000
To
to
200,000.
230,000
Yeah.
people wrongfully convicted.
Yep. Well, and part of that's because we have this American mythology idea of court that, well, if they're innocent, they would take the stand and get demolished by someone who's gone to a legitimate finishing school to teach you how to argue, who already knows all the things and is playing a laundry list of fun games with how they're going to present their case.
Well, and the
DAs
other
are not
side
to
of
be
that,
fucked
many
with.
of these will be bargain cases.
Oh, yeah. 97% of cases.
Yeah.
So the Innocent Project has worked on roughly 190 successful cases. Looking at the DNA exoneration statistics and the nature of the supposed crimes, 130 exonerees were convicted for murders they didn't commit. In 40 cases, amounting to 31%, the witnesses' identification was wrong. More than 81 individuals falsely confessed, bringing the percentage of false confessions to 62%, and 17% involved informants. Out of these 375 people, 21 have served time on death row awaiting execution.
One of the smarter things is the idea of when they're going to do the photo lineups, put in pictures of cops too. Because then you at least know if they're just guessing.
Yeah. True.
Again, that's what's fucked up about all of this is the war on drugs did this. Our police can no longer work a murder scene. They don't understand the importance of not touching anything. And it's just fucking lunacy. And I'm not surprised that the various systems they're now designing are designed, right? They're purpose built. And all they needed is more confessions, not more the truth. The truth is fucking hard and complicated. And if you're on the wrong avenue, right? Cops know they have 48 hours to solve a murder. After that, maybe, but...
So I want to talk about an extremely interesting case called the Norfolk 4.
Okay.
And this was one of the big things that led to a lot of this false confession stuff.
Yeah.
And why it's an issue and what we can do about it.
That was so interesting, I had to come out of the bedroom to listen to it.
Oh.
So the Norfolk 4 were 4 Navy guys. And actually, I think they had the number up to 8 at one point.
Yeah.
So 8 Navy guys.
Okay.
Well,
It
that
all
one guy
started-
couldn't stop confessing to just whatever the cops handed him.
Yeah. So these Navy guys had been overseas. One of them comes home, finds his wife brutally murdered. Goes next door to his friend, says, "Oh my God, blah, blah, blah." So his friend calls 911. The cops show up and everything. So after sitting these two guys down, they decide to pin it on the neighbor and say, "No, you definitely killed him." And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is crazy. After hours and hours in the interview room, he finally is like, one of the other guys that they're interviewing, because they picked, he's like, "Well, who were you with? Blah, blah, blah. Who else is in this group? Blah, blah, blah." So they eventually get a few more names and they start talking to somebody. They start talking to him. Now, I didn't actually take any notes on this because, like, I watched a show on it, and it was Frontline did a thing on the Norfolk 4. It was extremely interesting. Actually, you know what? I'll put a link to it on our
There you go.
on our Facebook tonight, so you guys can watch it yourself. It's pretty fucking crazy. But this one guy is so stressed out and is so done with everything that he just starts looking at the cops and like, "What do you want me to say?" And he just starts saying whatever they want. And they have him rewrite his statement over and over and over, and they have him repeat things over and over and over. So now they have this one dude spouting all this shit. So they go back to the first guy, the neighbor, and then they say, "Well, this guy just told us all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So you know you were involved, blah, blah, blah." So finally this guy cracks and is like, "Whatever." Like,
And just lets them pour the details in.
So now we got two people just singing. Now they're like, there had to have been more people. There had to have been more people. So they just kind of start adding people on, and it starts whatever. Now some of these people have hard, solid alibis. Like, when I say hard alibis, I mean flawless alibis. Like, they were at work or something like that. Like, there's no way this happened. They lived states away, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
This didn't fucking happen. And they still tried to whatever. So eventually they managed to weasel it down to these four guys. But the story they tell is fascinating. So it goes from this horrible rape and murder of a woman to these 8 Navy dudes met a random black dude in the parking lot and said, "Hey, we want to go rape that woman." And the black dude was like, "Sure, I'm down." And the funny thing is this black guy was the one who actually did the crime.
So they had to rope him in.
So they tied him in it by saying they met in the parking lot. And now this guy is denying the whole thing. He's like, "No, it was just me. I did it by myself." Like, you're crazy. Like, I just did this thing. Like, whatever. Because he was in jail for something else. And, he's like, it's insane that, like, you guys believe this. So he, on the stand in these guys' trial, he doesn't even say anything. He doesn't even say anything. He's like, "This is insane." So anyway, so these 4 Navy dudes get railroaded, just absolutely railroaded and sent to jail. Now, luckily, they were eventually exonerated, but they each lost, the 3 of them lost 11 years, and another dude 8 years of their lives in jail because the cops were just convinced. And the story at the end that they put in front of the jury was insane. They met this dude and he knew how to open the door because they don't know how to open doors or something. And he got him into the apartment or whatever. And then they just took turns on this woman. And then one of them said, "Let's stab her." Now, mind you, this woman only was stabbed 3 times. But they got these guys confess, "Oh yeah, we all took turns stabbing him." So this woman was supposed to be stabbed 9 times. 9 times, because by the end of this, there was 9. So it was just absolutely insane. So I found it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, Frontline, right? It was something. Anyway, I'll kick a link to it on our Facebook. BoomerRexTonight. No spaces. It is absolutely insane to watch how the story grows.
And the problem is,
weirder and weirder.
The 90s Navy had a fucking problem. 91 is tail hook. 95 is the Okinawa rape. Yeah. So, rapey Navy is believable. But then they just made a tail. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, like, this is the main problem with the forcing confessions. And again, they're not beating them with phone books like they used to. Because at least then you could believe somebody. Like, I could almost respect that just because done right, you could beat more truth out of them. But no, this is insane. Because once they have a confession, that's the only direction they're even looking.
Yeah.
But no, and this is just the start. Like this is, you know, dog doing weird things to the
You got
cat.
a lot of love to give.
Not to that cat, you don't.
He was licking the cat. I'm not
Yeah.
sure the cat enjoyed it, but it could have stopped him at any point.
Anyway, so no, the issue with false confessions, okay, and this is one of the bigger issues, is that it doesn't matter what you say after, because they will take
Right.
this false confession. Now, the interesting part is they will have you perfect the story
And
so
that's
that
what
it
they'll go.
matches exactly what they want,
What
right?
they're looking for.
Well, and it
has to
flows
match.
right. It sounds good.
And they make you repeat it 4 or 5 times, and then they turn on the recording.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
they record your confession.
Stanley Kubrick took 100 and what scenes takes to get that one scene?
Yeah.
So they're on their way to auteur filmmaker.
Yeah.
So they make sure that it's perfect, and you're a robot. So a lot of these false confessions you'll
Yep.
see flat.
Oh, and
Very
that's
flat.
what TV
They
told you to look for in
just-
monsters. Lack of affect.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a serial killer. That's one dead-eyed motherfucker.
So the problem is that when you wake up and you realize,
What you've done.
shit, what the fuck was I thinking? The jury
In jail.
still sees this confession.
Yep.
And unfortunately, juries, all you on jury duty, listen up, will believe that over what you're saying now, because how could you possibly lie about this? We're telling you how right now. It's very easy. It doesn't take much. You got to go potty. You want a cigarette. You want to go to the bathroom.
Well,
Tell
first
us
I'm going to
something.
give you a cigarette. That's my rapport building stage. We're going to go outside and have a smoke. Because now I know in 45 minutes, you're going to really want another one. And 2 hours from now, when I come back in the room, you're going to really want to talk.
No, and people who are susceptible to this are the disabled, the mentally disabled.
Everyone
People. Well, yes, but more susceptible. So when you're talking people who are only interviewed for, say, 4 or 5 hours and who give up the ghost, versus someone who may take 14, 20 or more hours.
And police are learning that these long interrogations look bad.
Oh, they look terrible. But when you have, say, children,
Yeah.
you should never, ever be interviewing. Well, and these aren't even interviews; they're interrogations.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
You should
that's
never interrogate.
why I wanted a
child.
distinction. One of those is seeking the truth.
No, you can
Or
ask
information, at
questions,
least.
But
Yeah.
there's a
The
right
other
and
is
wrong
trying
way
to create information.
Yep.
Because again, all they want's the confession.
So, do you want some ways that we could potentially stop
Yes.
these
Yes.
false confessions, or at least be able to prove that? No. You see here? You see when the cop says that and gives them that piece of vital information that this person didn't know before?
Yeah.
He says it, and then this dude repeats it. Huh, that's interesting.
Yep.
So one of the ways you can do it is to limit the duration of interrogations with a maximum of 4 hours. 4 hours at a time without a break. That's it. That's all you get.
I know. I fully support this. It's just one problem.
Restrict police lying to
Yep.
suspects.
Absolutely.
So you can only lie about certain things, and you can't whatever. Like, restrict their lying.
My
Keep
favorite
it
was using the
reasonable.
photocopier as a truth detector. You load up the paper tray with true, lie, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You know what questions you're asking. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Bwee. True. What's your address? Bwee. True. Yeah, fuck me. That's a cute trick. That's early 90s. Baltimore cops,
Oh
supposedly.
my God.
Admit expert testimony of false confessions into court.
Yep.
So give people who know about this the ability to go into a courtroom and say, I'll tell you exactly why this person confessed, and I will explain it to you in detail. Let's watch the interrogation together.
Yep.
But you need to also record
Yep.
all
Every minute of the
interrogations.
interrogations.
Yep.
Yep.
and it has to all be shown start to finish. Don't fucking cut out what you don't want shown. Because that's the other part of the problem. The way that these CAs get away with stuff is that they'll cut out the last hour and a half.
They just don't show it. They don't cut anything. It's all still there.
Yeah. No, force them to show it. I agree.
Yeah, I think that you could actually push through, is that if you're going to do an interrogation, they see the whole fucking thing start to finish. Because a real interview that elicited a confession, if you watch the whole thing, you'll be like, fuck
confident.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, but if you're not comfortable with that, you're doing something else.
Yep.
And now you've proven you're aware of it.
And if you've got your jury sitting there listening to 20 hours,
yep,
they might get the idea that
they'd be willing
hard.
to confess just to make today fucking stop.
Yes.
You see the people in the jury like, I did it. Can we go home now?
Yeah.
Fuck this shit.
Perry Mason moment.
Yeah. No, my problem with the reality of it is, right, all of those great ideas are defeated by 3 simple words: soft on crime. Which is what every DA and everyone else is going to howl to the moon if given an option on.
And you write down the names of the ones who did.
Absolutely.
And they're the first to go.
But the problem is, since most judges are prosecutors, they have an invested interest in saying, no, there's nothing wrong with the system. It's not insane. I did not spend my life working for an evil god.
Now,
Right, or a disinterested god.
Yeah.
I want to mention that because of this whole discussion, I got into this show called Making a Murderer.
Yep. We were late on the pandemic thing. We also haven't seen... What's the tiger one? Anyway.
It's Tiger King or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. But anyway.
Everyone else watched those during pandemic.
Fair.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, it's on Netflix, and it is a Netflix special show. So please go to Netflix and watch it.
Also, if you suffer from dangerously low blood pressure...
I don't know if I can put a link to it.
Netflix.
Okay.
But
It's Netflix. So just go to Netflix and search Making a Murderer.
you've probably seen it the internet. I've seen the numbers on how many of you watched this.
But my point is that I don't want to get into too deep because we haven't finished it yet. I think we
And
We
it's a
haven't even
case with a
finished season
handful of
1.
reviews and some other stuff, and I'm not sure the things I want to say about it aren't libelous. Is it slander? Yes, it's slander.
Yeah.
I'd write it down too, motherfucker.
But I highly urge you, if you have any interest. Now, the first part of it isn't about false confessions, but it does come into play later on with another.
It has an honest conversation about the problem with small town police forces. We can talk about the shooting in the 2 shootings in Alabama that started over a disagreement in a bar. Oh, and then one guy who was complaining on a stage in his yard that the police killed his friend somehow got killed by somebody who seemed a lot like the police, who then were divvying up his gun collection the next morning in his driveway. Or so I'm told.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, no, we used the Dukes of Hazzard, all of the, like, problematic shit aside.
Yeah.
This used to be, like, a standard thing in America, that we understood small town cops were iffy. Like, if they're good, they're amazing. And when they're not, they're just as powerful going the other direction.
Yeah.
Now, I also, so I said that there's several different versions of the 3 types of false confessions.
Yeah.
Now, the leader in this, we were speaking about him on Friday, who's really pushed forward a lot of
The
this,
research on the false
confessions, because he was involved in a situation where he was like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't fit. And fuck, did I not write down his name?
No, but there's a lack of consistency with the distrustful gaze police use on everyone not police versus their brothers and sisters. And I don't know if it's the fact that the Marine Corps still keeps an appropriate percentage of their people scum, in a good way, with love.
Yeah.
But that you never forget that everyone you know is a professional kill. Like, they could kill you and not raise their heart rate.
Yeah.
Fair.
Right? That some of these people came from genuinely fucking dangerous backgrounds. Like the 2 kids we had from Trinidad. Some great fucking Marines. But they had also seen some shit, and they lived in a world unlike anything most of the kids.
Yeah.
Saul Kassim.
Yes.
So this Saul Kassim guy is amazing, and I suggest you look him up and look up his stuff, because he has
Yeah,
all
that
the
you should
information.
kick a link to.
So three types of false confessions, and they're the same, but he labels them differently, and I like his labels a little bit better.
Okay.
Brainwashing,
Yeah.
Okay.
desperation,
Yeah.
I like his
And-
choices too.
inquisitory.
Yep.
Okay.
So he explains these, and you know what? I will also post a link to his YouTube, where he talks about this. The problem is that a lot of this research, a lot of these are from like 5 years ago, 8 years ago, and I'm finding a hard time to find more recent stuff that's not the Innocent Project, right? The Innocent Project is obviously all over this.
No, but we're still using psychological research that was done in the 30s that is valid.
Yep. Or at least as valid as any psychological research.
Yeah.
But my
That's
point
not me
is,
being mean. I'm just
is that
nitpicky.
I would like to see this push forward more, and I want to hear people talk about it more,
No,
because
absolutely.
the biggest problem we have and why this keeps happening and why 30
adversarial
plus percent of people who are falsely incarcerated are there due to their own false confessions. It's sickening. And the problem is that we're talking 2 to 10% of our prison population. Those are
10% was 200,000.
Yeah.
230,000.
Cool. Yeah. I'm finding out what 6% is. So that's what 115 times
It's
something.
600,000.
If it 10% is 200,000.
Oh, you're looking for 6. I'm sorry.
So now with your big fucking annoying boomer, I got taught math because I went to schools that didn't have mold.
Hold on, let me double check. It's like 2.5 million or something is in jail.
Yeah, well, 2.3.
That's what it was. 2.3 million in jail.
So-
So 6%, 2.3 million. Go.
It's around around 140,000.
Okay. So 100.
I'm just averaging the two numbers I've got.
Yeah.
140,000 people, and approximately a third of those are
That will
in
not fit in the
for-
that is more people than will fit in the largest, nearly 2 of the largest stadiums in the United States.
Yep.
2 stadiums worth of people. That,
Falsely convicted.
which means that the
Don't
people who
you
did
know
their
they're
fucking
gonna be
crime
model citizens
are
when
still
they come
someone.
out.
Oh yeah, no, that's the worst part about this was, you look at these dumb people and fuck me, man, that cage is gonna eat them alive and turn them into something. If they weren't a monster before,
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if they come out as one after. Just out of desperation, right?
Yeah, what
You've
if they
lost
got to
the
lose?
major years you had to make any kind of anything.
Right.
No, and one of the other problems, which I do want to do more research on personally, is the inability, all right, for people who are put into jail,
Yep.
who are convicted wrongfully or otherwise,
Oh yeah.
to be
Get
able
out.
to well, first of all, to get their cases reheard.
Yep.
And only about 1% of those cases, whether there is evidence that 100% proves them innocent or not, only 1% of those are even looked at, let alone actually
The system
go
is
to
very good at
court.
maintaining a conviction.
Right.
They have a legal finding of fact.
Well, and another problem you'll find is, say it gets to a judge that says, this is ridiculous, this is insane, this needs to be thrown out. They'll go above that and find someone
Yep,
who
you can
will
always
say, no,
appeal.
it's fine.
Again, the
Believe
problem
it.
with the majority of judges being former prosecutors. They know what corners they've cut. They know, right, again, they're looking at it like a battlefield or any of the other places where you need to make quick and horrible decisions. Right? That this is the blood that lubricates the machine that keeps everyone from going at each other over dinner. It's not even close to true. We existed for nearly 200 years without any kind of police. And then merchants in Boston, at best, we'll talk about the Boston PD because that's everything else is grosser. Like, do not look up the Texas Rangers history. It's bad. The Boston police started as mercantile enforcement. And basically they were just your robbery travel agent. Right? They knew who did the robberies. So they'd go and get your stuff back. They were paid the finder's fee. And a little bit, they were probably putting some money around.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good way of doing it, but that seems better than this.
Turns into a protection racket pretty quick.
Aye. So is this.
No, I can't even tell you how depressing. Like, I knew it was gonna be bad. But when you actually look at the numbers and when you actually read these stories,
Don't worry, the internet. I'm not going to tell her about the kids for cash thing.
when you actually read these stories and what these people have gone through, and you see
It's scary.
the truth.
Yeah.
And the obvious truth at that. Like,
Well, and
that's the
again-
thing that gets me with a lot of these cases.
If your entire experience with the legal system comes with the noise dun dun, then you really do believe in it. It is a good thing. These people are interested in the truth. And I wish that's who we had. But
Well,
we got numbers that
I
show
wish
that.
that's who we paid for.
Yes. Oh, for certain. And I will say at least part of this was the changing cops into yuppies. Right? Back when they were dudes who worked with their hands, they were more closely related to the streets you wanted them to patrol. They
They
had
could
more
put
inter-
on blue jeans and
Uh-huh.
a t-shirt and walk down that street with no problem at all.
But as a mechanized force, you can't patrol shit from a vehicle. You can respond, kind of.
Yeah.
And you will never catch a competent criminal that way. That's why for every black drug dealer of color we catch, there are 5 white drug dealers who will never see the inside of a jail.
No, and this whole thing is
Largely because of the lawyer
absolutely
dance.
infuriating. Absolutely infuriating.
This is part of the social contract that is supposed to work.
Well, and you want to know why the other parts are fraying? Because
Yeah.
we stopped watching this.
Yeah.
And
Well, we stopped watching all of it.
Agreed, but this part realized that.
But one of the big things we need to do is throw out the Reed.
And the Wicklander method, which is just the
Yeah.
Reed method with a bright, shiny coat of paint.
Yep.
It's more about rapport building. But the other thing it does, and I think that's probably what scares me the most, and we should look and make sure of this. I think that's why it has the long lag time up front, is so that they can show you the full interrogation. Not the 14 hours the kids sat in the room by themselves,
Yeah.
but the 4 hours it took them to break them.
No, and
And
again,
it's great for loss prevention and other things where you know they're fucking guilty, you watched them. But that's different, right? The only thing loss prevention cares about is getting it. The loss prevention will let a under 18-year-old sign a promissory note. It's fucking shithouse out there. And then pretend that that's somehow a legally enforceable contract. But, sorry, carry on.
no, I cannot stress enough to all you out there. Don't talk to cops. If they read you your Miranda rights, fucking take them.
Yes.
Even if they don't.
No, especially if they don't. Like, don't talk to cops, man. Just don't do it. I don't care if he's
for no
your
other
buddy.
reason I am
I don't
looking to
care if
cause a
he's your-
social...
I don't care if he's your best friend and you grew up pissing in the same fucking bathtub together. I don't give a fuck.
That's the last one to talk to, because they'll send him in, you're fucked.
Yep.
No, it is.
It is your constitutional
know.
right to shut the fuck up.
I don't know if you guys have ever been so mad that
Yep.
nothing helps.
Yeah.
We were talking in pregame
That's
show.
how I live most of my
Wait,
days.
did we talk about it in the show or just the pregame show?
Which
Me
part?
throwing stuff.
She was throwing stuff at the TV. I'm pretty sure we talked
Yeah,
about
I think
both.
we talked about it earlier.
Hair ties, bottles, the little ring on the top of a
That
soda
was
thing.
in pregame.
All kinds of little things that won't break the TV, thank goodness. Because, like, we were one step, like, if she had a gun, we'd have Elvis the TV today.
No, it is just infuriating. And I'm looking at these people and I'm like, I just want to slap your stupid, lying little face. That's what I want to do.
Well, and worse, I don't think most of them were lying. They were playing the standard game, which is gross enough. Right, again, as we discussed, with just showing you the parts of the confession that
Yeah.
matter to them. Right, just showing you the pages that matter to them. Not the other page that was the original statement that said, we didn't do shit.
Or that said I was
Just the thing with the drawings that was solicited by his lawyer's investigator. Because his lawyer had decided that he was going to, because he had just come in third in a primary, so he was going to save this kid's life because this kid's guilty as shit, but he's going to keep. the
Again,
out of
we're
his arm.
talking about the show Making a Murderer.
No, I wouldn't have mentioned any of that.
But anyway,
Don't
it
zero
doesn't
it for
matter.
Yeah.
It
No,
is
it's bad, like-
it is the appearance of impropriety that makes it all the worse. And the appearance of impropriety should be the top of everybody's list when it comes to this thing.
Yeah.
Is that I don't care if you did it or not. The appearance of impropriety is what should have scared you enough to not do these things.
There were several violations of good instructions. At that point, the DA should have gone, nope, we fucked this up.
Yeah.
That wonderful line from the Lincoln lawyer when the lawyer's talking to the cops because he's a defense lawyer and he's always getting people off of technicalities, and one of the cops is being shitty. He's like, yeah, goddamn me, no, goddamn you and your friends who cut corners and shave things just to make a case and fuck this up. And then I have to come in. I have to undo garbage work.
Yeah.
Because you can convict them, right? You could actually do your job, right? Run down the case, know stuff about people, know stuff about your city. But instead, you do the other thing.
You brought me this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, and I think that's perfect because what a lot of these problems that we've seen, like with Melissa Lucio, where they, baby died, something needs to happen.
Yeah.
Something needs to happen to somebody. And they didn't care.
Yep.
They didn't care that how torn up she was about the loss of her child. They didn't care that she had 12 other children at home that she needed to take care of. They didn't care that she was pregnant with twins. Emotional, fucking hormonal, fucking
And with a dead
whacked
kid.
out. Someone who used to, have problems with drugs and such, who is now clean. Instead of seeing the good things, instead of seeing the struggles,
no, that's the armor of contempt.
they saw somebody who messed up. They saw somebody whose arms were crossed, who was looking down, who wouldn't look them in the eye because she had been
They saw
beaten
somebody
into submission for years.
They saw somebody they could pin it on.
Yep. They saw a story that made sense to them.
Yeah.
Because sadly, that's the other side of it, right? Loads of police, outside of their job, most of what they know about law and court and justice comes from that show with the dun-dun.
Yep.
Or the worst ones. Like, there's way harder
They're all-
propaganda out there.
CSI.
Blue Bloods. Like, no,
Bloods.
you can...
No, and I love CSI, so
Yes. No, but it's made people
Is that
believe...
a goose? What the hell was that?
No, it's a pigeon.
it's a. Oh, is it a pigeon? Oh, yes, up on the top one. But anyway, the point is that
People believe CSI is actually what happens.
And
Again,
that's
as we
not
said in the
true.
last, that people believe that if you die in the United States, they're going to reconstruct your apartment in a big thing. NCIS is bullshit, guys. And they care way more about dead troops because they pay a lot for them. Not like a lot.
no,
but-
and
Well, and the worst of it is that also plays into the false confession.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you believe the system will work and show you were innocent.
yeah, no, and that's
The system can't convict an innocent.
you need to understand that our justice system is so broken, like totally broken. Like, oh my God, like it's so broken.
It's so
Crazy.
broken that your average public defender has somewhere between 7 and 11 minutes with their client to decide the entirety of their legal goddamn strategy. Now, at some point, I want you to think about the most complicated stuff you've ever done in your life that really required your whole ass brain, right? The kind of thing you couldn't do and drive at the same time.
7 minutes.
Yeah. You want to make life and death decisions in 7 minutes?
Wing.
But no, it all right. I want to talk about this more because there's a lot more information out there, and I did spend the weekend, but I want to finish this one show.
I want to get into jury dynamics.
And then I want to get into some of the more nitty gritty details here, right? Because I want to discuss. So maybe we could do a little role play sometime where you're a bad guy, right? You're a bad cop, and you're interrogating. Well, maybe you should be interrogating.
I don't
a
like
cop.
any of this game.
But
we'll
just
see.
to see the difference, right? Of what a good interrogation or what a good interview is versus an interrogation.
Yeah.
Which those are two totally different things.
No, and that's one of the things I really want to drive home is that we have moved into an interrogation style that will work to do exactly one thing versus an interview, which is what you do when you want to know what happened.
Well, it works both ways.
Yeah.
A lot of times it gets you a true confession, but
I think
there's
it's
a
happenstance.
significant fraction.
Yeah. There's enough that we should be concerned.
Well, yeah, and I'm not sure I
Yeah.
would say a lot considering the percentage of false confessions that land people in jail, which is pretty much everyone who makes a false confession is in jail.
Yeah.
whether they're freed later on or not.
No, but that's the right. Is it Eric Holder, one of the smarter law enforcement cats, made the point. It wasn't him. Of a lot of this is the mental shortcuts you learn doing this job. Because again, police have gotten it all twisted in the right with stuff like I have a right to go home at the end of my shift. Fuck, man, I hope you do, but you're not a non-combatant.
Right.
I'm not a non-combatant.
If you want to be a
I have no authority.
non-combatant, drop your service
Yeah.
pistol and your badge on the desk on the way out.
No, but I don't consider myself a non-combatant. I wouldn't say dumb shit like I have a right to go home at the end of the... No, if I get into some shit, then that's on me. I try to avoid that kind of shit, but... Right? Fucking librarians. That's who has a right to go home at the end of their day.
Yeah.
And again, I think you don't have to be a cop for very long before you see enough spattered librarians or librarian-shaped objects that you got to come up with something. I think entirely too many of them are donning the armor of contempt or numbness, and you cannot do these jobs by going
and we
numb.
discussed this on Friday. Kassan says that he says that these cops who are no different as far as percentages of knowing who's lying and who's not than your average college student, and in most cases are actually worse. And they're 100% like so the college kid might be, I think it's that guy, like maybe he did it, whereas a cop would be like, no, he definitely did it. So they're firm on their wrong thoughts because they believe they were trained and know the difference, even though
it's a classic case of Dunning-Kruger.
No, it's worse. Yes, it is.
First of all, explain Dunning-Kruger for those who do not know.
All right. So Dunning-Kruger, the people who at the lower end, if you've got a range of people who have knowledge in a field, as you get more knowledgeable, you get less certain of your conclusions, up to a point where, as you're beginning to become an expert, some of that certainty comes back. But at the bottom end of that spectrum, the people who know the very least are quite likely to be the ones who are convinced of the absolute certainty of their conclusion.
Well, they can see everything they know, so they can...
Yeah.
Like their mental phallus not that big. And that's not me being shitty, because the problem is Dunning-Kruger gets used all too often as a cudgel. And often it should be, but...
No, this is a case where we told them, we trained them.
Yep.
They have a tiny bit of knowledge in a specific area, and they are very confident of their conclusions, and they're wrong.
Now,
no, but like they emulate the military so hard, and the thing I remember most of military instructors is you were all very stupid and don't know shit, and never forget that. We're going to teach you enough to blow your little hands and fingers off. Don't fuck around.
No, and part of what I think is a huge issue with our police and their belief system is that they do believe that they're infallible. I got that gut. Those cops, they always talk on those TV shows. They always, I got a gut feeling. And
remember that what they've been doing is so a police officer I know was telling me about the drug interdiction unit they run. And they are routinely reported by locals who see them doing an arrest as a carjacking, because a lot of it's drugs. And so you have to take control of the person or they're going to swallow the drugs, which is unhealthy, not to mention inconvenient.
Yeah, fair.
So know that we have taught them this entirely different and wrong way of looking at the world and solving problems because that works for drug cases. Because most of who you're going to meet in a drug case, they're not kingpins, right? You're never going to put most kingpins in the same room as drugs and money. If they're smart, in the same room as either.
Right.
So they're taking what they've learned, right? What they think is their gut. And then they're getting transferred into homicide, and they're looking for short, simple answers.
Right.
Right. Remember, it's a banner year when we solve more than 50% of cases.
Except for when they turn those short, simple answers into these.
So it's a banner year when they solve more than 50% of murders, and 80% of people were murdered by someone they know. Fuck. So, no, and it's tragic because it's not. I don't believe it is often malicious, right? They're not looking to jam people.
I think that's the bigger problem, is that they've become so convinced that they know how to read a person, that they know what this person did or whatever, and their behavior shows. It definitely shows that they're guilty, because that's what they've been trained to look at as guilty, when in most instances these signs of guilt are actually just signs of stress.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger
Cops don't understand how
problem.
intimidating they are to people. When we're coming up on a place where the average American thinks cops can just shoot you and get away with it.
Well, and the other issue is that a lot of people are naturally compliant to authority figures.
Oh, absolutely.
So even if or more so, especially if the cop comes in being your friend, you want to help.
Yes.
Right? Because that's what you want to do naturally as a human being.
You want to get out of this.
You want to help, and you want to go home, and you want to watch
hopefully
your favorite
avoid
TV
paying
show.
for a lawyer you can't possibly afford.
Yeah. So, you'll tell them anything just to make it, is that what you want to hear? I'll tell you that. Is this what you want to hear? I'll tell you that. Because these, they're just average everyday citizens that were going about their lives, and suddenly that all got fucked up.
Yep.
We don't know how long they were awake before they were put into this interrogation.
Yep.
Did they go to work and come home and then get arrested? And now they're already 12 hours in and a work day.
Well, if it's a violent crime and I have to arrest them at home, we're doing it at 3 a.m.
Yeah, maybe they got 2 hours of sleep and they're all groggy and they, you know.
Yeah, there's any number of ways to keep someone off foot, which is, when you're at that place, you've already left the world of interview behind.
Right.
Right? When you were trying to psychologically manipulate from the jump, you're
wrong.
Yeah, you're not interviewing, which is how you get a list of people you need to interrogate.
Right.
No, so I think there is still a lot to discuss here, and there's still a lot of information to be found. So I don't know if we'll come back to this tomorrow or the day after, but
eventually,
certainly within the next 2-3 days, we will be doing more, because there's so much here that I've done a lot of in-depth, deep dives. This has to be the most concerning and the most
we can fix
so
that.
much information.
Cash for Kids is going to totally be different, because that we were just throwing kids away into the molestum camps. I mean, the boot camps. He said with air quotes, like you can see that the internet. Sorry.
Yep.
No. Yeah, it's way bad.
No, and
I want to talk about the intransigent, right? That a single intransigent juror,
Intransigent.
can move the entire rest of the jury.
Yep.
Right, that if you just disengage, right, and that's just small team dynamics. That's
well, not only that.
How many times have you seen one dumb shit fuck up everyone else because they just refuse to get with it?
Yeah.
Well, and then you also, when it comes to juries, you have a similar problem of, you're stuck in a room with these people. So whether you agree with them or not, eventually you're going to hit a point where you're going to be like, you know what, Karen, fine. Whatever you say, he did it. I don't believe it, but
I don't
did
fucking care.
I don't give a fuck anymore. Put him in jail. Fuck you.
I just want to go home. This little bit of American dream can die too.
And that's another part of the problem. If you find yourself on a jury and you find yourself in a situation where there is a false confession, don't fucking...
Right, we've raised a generation, 2 generations of Americans to run away from responsibility and duty as hard and as fast as they can.
Do not be responsible for putting that one person, because one person behind bars that doesn't belong to be there is a tragedy. Thousands and possibly hundreds of thousands is just disgusting.
Who the fuck are we?
I mean,
do you recognize us anymore, the internet?
Ugh, I can't even.
Is this what we wanted? Is this what our parents said it was going to be like?
Hey, Democrats, here's a new one to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't have to do it from an angle that gets you slapped with soft on crime. No, I'm hard on real criminals.
Yeah.
I want to know who kills Americans, because they need to die in a cage.
Here's the biggest thing I need people on juries to remember.
And tens of thousands of them, or hundreds of thousands of them, are walking around free.
Yes, let me say this here right now, okay? If you're ever on a jury, you need to remember that if you have any doubt that this person did this thing, okay, and and a bunch of you don't, then convicting them is leaving the person who could have for realsies done it out on the streets to rape and murder more.
Yep.
And you are not helping by convicting an innocent person. You are making the problem
making the
worse.
problem
Because
worse.
now
And
they're
it
not
won't get-
now they're not out looking for this guy anymore
And it
or
won't
this
get
girl
fixed on
anymore.
appeal. And yeah, no, the thing that people should remember when they're on jury duty is they are literally the only people in that building interested in justice, or at least they are the only ones who have a duty and an obligation.
And if
Right.
you are not willing to do that, don't go to jury duty. There are many ways you can get out of it. You can go to your doctor and have him
I
write a thing
think
for you.
That's how we got here. Everyone who can read gets out of jury duty. That doesn't leave a really awesome jury pool left.
But what I need you guys to understand is that if you believe, like we believe, go. Do your patriotic duty and make sure innocent people are not getting railroaded and put in
Yeah,
jail.
the state has
Yep.
to earn it before they put any of us in a cage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Make
you know
them
what?
do their fucking
I don't
job.
care if the dude did it or not. If you can't put the knife in his hand in front of my face where I can see, oh yeah, no, he definitely did it, then no,
You
I'm
have
not
to-
going to put him in jail,
You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
which is the whole point. And remember, that person on the stand is innocent until they are proven guilty. The problem in America nowadays is we believe that if they arrested you and you're in jail now and you're
Then
need
you're
a
a
jury
criminal
and
and you're
stuff,
part
you
of why
obviously
America is
did something
declining.
wrong.
Yep.
You
Why America
definitely
will
did.
never have another American century
And
again.
even if you didn't do this, you probably did something else,
Something
which is
else.
why they charged you for so many things. I mean, come on, you had to have done something.
Everyone's done something.
Everybody had.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep.
And that's bullshit, people. Don't fucking believe it.
Yep.
It's fucking rhetoric, and it needs to fucking
So if you
stop.
get called for jury duty, go do your damn duty.
And do it right.
Yep.
Pay fucking
That part they're
attention.
actually surprisingly good at, if they're presented the facts.
Yes.
Right? We thought they were too stupid to do the bankers, and so that's why we didn't bring any charges against the bankers. That one kid who had an actually complicated case, the jury did just fine. Juries are smarter than we give them credit for when they're presented the facts.
Yes.
But yeah, beware. Sometimes that DA is crooked. So what I want to say is don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that follow button. Hit that heart button. Remember that you need to go to our Patreon. So go to our Facebook at BoomerRexTonight, no spaces. And, I link to our Patreon every night. So do that and give us money. Help us out, because this is how we will be able to continue reporting on stuff like this for you.
Yep.
Without having influences from outside whatevers. We need money from you. So
If you're an
please,
outside whatever, you need to give a lot of money.
extra money.
That's how you get on the not hunted oligarch list.
All right. So we love you all.
Like,
and
comment, subscribe.
Like, comment. I said that right. Anyway, no, you hadn't. We love you all, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night on Boomer Rex Tonight.